we can talk about Celtic. Now, they finished 8 points clear of Rangers. What did you make to their end of the campaign, actually finishing so far ahead of Rangers in the end, given that it was so tight in some of those weeks, going down to the wire to the end of the SPFL season?
Yeah, look, Celtic finished off very creditably. They, with no problem really at the end, they put an emphatic full stop to the season. I saw the celebrations in Glasgow after they'd won the championship. Look, good luck to them. They deserved it in the end. They had a little fault of themselves, but as it turned out, Rangers, I think, has got nerves at the end or whatever it was that just didn't get them across the line. And so there's going to be change. We all know that Celtic and Rangers, you can't come second. That's it. There's nothing else to it. You've got to win. I think Celtic are now poised, though, to build and to add to the squad, as we've talked about Joe Hart. We've talked about some additions. I think Brendan will get them set now for the Champions League as well. Brendan knows Europe. He's got to get them ready to get through those qualifying games and straight into the group stages. I believe about 40 million could be at stake for Celtic. So they're in a very, very good position now to kick on and really try and push forward. If they do ever crack that group stage of the Champions League and get through it, then Celtic have got a chance to really put such distance between themselves and Rangers. I know there's rumours around Dave King buying up the majority of Rangers again and then trying to possibly sell the whole club. So there's rumours again. Now, if there's a new owner coming into Rangers with deep pockets, that's a possibility as well. But it's going to take something like that, I think, for them to catch Celtic at the moment. I think Celtic are starting to race ahead, and they've done it. They've done it with good players, good scouting, and they deserve it fully.
What sort of budget, Keith, looking at that 40 million potentially, will Brendan Rodgers demand going into the summer? We saw the fans last year quite frustrated. They didn't really spend as much as they hoped. How many signings do you think they'll be expecting to make going into the summer transfer window?
Well, Celtic have got, they've got cash. The bank balance is pretty healthy. They could go out if they need to. I think, like all things, Brendan's going to have to sit with the board and decide which positions need strengthening, and with a view in mind this time to perhaps go a little bit further than normal. They've been accused of being too prudent in the past, and I think this is the season that we may see the purse strings released a little bit more than normal. I wouldn't like to put a number on it, but certainly I think the Celtic fans will see a bit more activity than they're used to, is my hunch for this summer. I think this is a key season for Celtic to really push on and create that big gap between them and Rangers. So they've got to do it, and it's going to take, as I say, some money to do it. And they've proven, though, unearthing some of the Asian talents that they have done. Some of the Japanese players have been fantastic. They've found gems before, so hopefully they can do it again. But the Champions League is a unrelenting challenge, and there's got to be quality. But I watched them lose to Atletico Madrid 6-0. Where there was a clear gap between the teams. But Brendan knows that, and he knows what he's going to have to put in place to make a sustained run in the Champions League. So let's see. Good luck.
Keith, do we expect, I know we've discussed Matt O'Reilly before and some of their other stars. Actually, going off that note then, could we anticipate potentially some of their stars are offered bumper contracts to tie them down at the club so they can make a real crack at the Champions League and try and kick on in Europe potentially?
Yeah, I saw stories, I think just yesterday, about Matt O'Reilly going to Italy, and I thought, that's his agent placing that story straight away because he's in negotiations with the club. And I would be very surprised to see him leave. And I think he is one of the players that they would want to keep. And I think we may see that Celtic offering wages that are good enough to keep players in Scotland, which would be good rather than having that everything being sucked down to England or elsewhere. So I think that's what they want to do, and he's one of the players that you could build a squad around. There's no doubt he's got that talent. So I hope that Brendan does, if he says he wants to keep him, that he's allowed to, and they do what they have to do. But there's no doubt his agent, as I say, will be agitating for a decent contract. That's for sure.
And Keith, the focus for Celtic and Rangers turns to the Scottish Cup final this weekend as well. Who goes into that game, do you think, with more confidence? And actually, what are your early predictions for the match?
This is one I could see a bit of a Rangers upset for some reason. I think that Celtic may have had a week of partying. I saw Man City also having a week of partying, and maybe that might affect their cup tie. It takes me back, before I give you my judgment on Celtic Rangers, it takes me back to my time at Everton, because We had qualified for the Champions League back in 2004 on a Wednesday night, I think, and I took the squad and the manager and the group out. And we did perhaps have a few celebratory shandies, perhaps for a little bit too late. And then we did play Arsenal the next game, and we got beat 7-0. I saw that happen also with Villa at the weekend with Palace from 5-0. So, it can happen. So I think maybe Celtic have been perhaps a little bit enjoying it too much. But then again, so I'm going to say Rangers are going to win it 2-1 with a goal in extra time. So I think that's how it may finish. And I think Celtic may take their foot off the gas. And I think Rangers will be desperate to try and make something happen. So I think that desperation may just get them across the line.
And looking, Keith, at the fans as well, how excited are you to see both fans back at Hampton? And then what are the hopes going into next season so that we actually can see the return of away fans at both grounds for the Old Firm?
Yeah, look, we all know that the atmosphere is nothing like it in terms of an Old Firm game. Those of us that have been to them and have been lucky enough to experience it, it is something special. So Hampden will be a cauldron as usual at the weekend. And they've got to maintain some way of getting away fans into each of the crowds at the Celtic Park and at Ibrox. They've got to find a way to do it. Look, we know the hatred and the problems that exist between the Old Firm and the religious hatreds that have gone on for years, which is all very horrible and a terrible part of the game. But it's a reality, and we've got to find a way to keep football as the winner and allow the atmosphere to be special and try and keep it to the banter it should be. And a Glasgow Old Firm game is a thing of beauty, and it should be maintained as best as possible.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.